Welcome to the online tutorial 5. I'm imagining by now you and your group, unless you're super organized, are still in the throes of trying to complete the first part A, of the value creation project. So this tutorial is going to give you a chance for a final check to make sure you've got everything where it needs to be and offer you some hints for success. Just making sure that you're not doing more than you need to, but you've done enough in terms of what you've actually been asked to do. So the challenge, well, I'm looking for you to submit by the due date, which we'll discuss shortly, the URL of your video, your strategy video, and the one-pager for the assumptions that you've been working with to develop that. Now, the reason I'm asking, if you go back to our original workshop face-to-face, I showed you how easy it was for your mind to develop assumptions and to use your assumptions without you even being aware of it. I want you to be aware of the assumptions you're making, and I want you to be able to use that awareness in terms of going forward to the next section, part B of this process, and where you're going to challenge your own assumptions. Have the assumptions you've been making, are they reasonable? We'll work through that in the next workshop. So they're the two things that you need to submit. Let's firstly think about the URL. Your video needs to be less than 2 minutes. I reckon some of you can do it in a minute, but it doesn't matter. You've got the full 2 minutes to use. Don't go over the 2 minutes. The entrepreneurs are going to be watching anything from 12 to 15 videos. If everyone gave them a 5-minute video, that's a lot of time that we're actually asking them to invest in this process. So 2 minutes, plus it's a nice challenge for you in terms of being able to stay succinct and get that message through. Your video needs to be uploaded to YouTube as an unlisted video, all right? So if you've already uploaded your video and it's something else, don't panic. You can just go into video edit and just change the security settings on your video, and you can move it back to unlisted. And we do that because if it's public, it means it'll get caught up in other people's searches on YouTube, and if it's private, then it means that no one else is going to be able to watch it, okay, unless you invite them, and that's not the way it's going to be hosted on Blackboard for other people to view and give you feedback on, so that won't work. So it needs to be unlisted. Your video provides a strategy that addresses the entrepreneur's how-to question. So you'll see on Blackboard in the instructions and the rubric that relates to the value creation project, that for each of the 4 entrepreneurs, you've got a how-to statement. All right. In the case of Courtney, you've got 2 options. You can use either one of her how-to statements, but your strategy needs to relate to that how-to statement. It needs to directly address that. Your video needs to explain why you believe that the strategy that you're offering actually also has a related compelling reason. You can see there's a compelling reason why this strategy would work for the end user, the customers that they're trying to speak to. And you should be able to tag in any sources of imagery that you think your strategy can tap into and provide an advantage to these entrepreneurs. And it needs to tag any key elements of the environmental interaction framework. So if, for argument's sake, you think that cognitive legitimacy is the really big issue that's at play, having gone through the 13 questions, then you might want to say this strategy will enable entrepreneur X to overcome the lack of cognitive legitimacy and to enable sufficient number of people to actually understand and know about this product or service. Okay, so you don't need to discuss all of the elements of the environmental interaction framework in your video. You just need to tag those elements that you think are most directed or connected to the nature of your strategy. In terms of the one-pager, I want to be able to understand your thinking, as does the entrepreneur, all right? So, and the other people in the class too. It'll be interesting for them to be able to see if they want to see your one-pager and make sense right, and give you some feedback in terms of the assumption. Maybe they made totally different assumptions, and maybe they will share them with you, right? So we want to know what those baseline assumptions. You've gone through the 13 questions at the end of the Environmental Interaction Framework video, and you thought to yourself, okay, in relation to the environment, we think it looks like this. In relation to the process of change, variation, selection, and retention, we think it looks like this. In relation to cognitive legitimacy, we think it looks like this. All right? So you've told me what your thinking is in relation to each one of those 13 questions. All right? When you tell me that, try to tell me tell me why you have made those assumptions. All right? So you might sort of say, for example, for social capital, we assume they need to expand on their existing relations as our strategy requires access to external information, etc., etc. All right? So they may look like they currently have sufficient social capital, but your strategy that you're developing may ultimately require them to know more people than they do. All right? So the assumption is that what they've got actually isn't sufficient. Okay? And that's all you need to write. Okay, so it's not a long paragraph for each one. It's just a short 1 or 2 sentences, depending on the element, to tell us what your thinking is. All right. I want you to remember that Part A is a draft of your eventual work in week 12. So I don't want you to aim for perfection. I want you to aim for clarity of your thinking. All right. So the entrepreneurs and other class members and myself are going to look at what you've done, and they're going to offer some general feedback, right? I'm not going to give you specific feedback in the first instance on the video, at least until the entrepreneurs have done so, all right? Because I'm not going to tell you what I think the strategy is of value to the entrepreneurs if I haven't. I mean, that's really a decision for them to make, all right? So, So don't try to overdo it on this one. It's just a matter of getting your ducks all lined up so we can understand your thinking and that you've developed a logical strategy and that you've explained the nature of the assumptions behind it. And you're prepared for the feedback. The entrepreneurs you met in the first workshops, they're going to read and see your work. So ensure that you are polite and considerate in relation to their feelings, all right? Don't say, it's pretty clear these guys have got absolutely no idea what they're doing, all right? We didn't bring them in here so that you could pass that type of judgment. We're trying to offer them some assistance and see if we can come up with some creative ideas for them, all right? So I got the sense that they're all energetic and fun-loving people, all right? So why don't you transmit some energy, passion, and have some fun in making that video and sending the information through. In terms of the key dates, you need to send me, and just use my work email, you need to send me an email that has your URL of your video. And remember, we said before, it needs to be saved with your group name and your entrepreneur's name as well, all right, for both the video and for your one-pager, all right? So make sure that you've got the 2 files saved as the same name and send that through. That would be great. And that needs to come to me no later than 5 p.m. next Monday. Right? We can't have stuff coming in later than that because the entrepreneurs have only got so much time in their week. They need to be able to organise time to be able to look at your videos. We can't be giving them to them later in the week. All right? It's not going to work. Okay? So you've got plenty of time, even now if you haven't even started with a video, to get that done. All right? And look, this doesn't have to be a massive video production. If it's just one of your group members holding a phone, shooting the video and uploading it to YouTube, that will suffice for this, what we're actually achieving to do. All right? So, yeah, get them to me by 5 p.m. next Monday. All right? Then I can load everything onto I can load everything on the Tuesday. By Tuesday, I'll have uploaded everything onto Blackboard in a format where everybody can actually get in and look at each other's work, and the entrepreneurs can go through and pass some comments, and then we can all share our own comments, and everything will be ready to roll when we meet on the Saturday. And then on the 29th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m, we'll have workshop 3. All right. Now, I've got several different things that I've got planned in relation to extending your engagement and knowledge that you're gaining from the unit. So come along to have some fun. Let's see if we can make sense of your progress, and that'll be not only as a group, but you, an opportunity to sit and listen and think about the progress that you've been making during the semester. And I want to make sure you understand the feedback that you've received and ensure that you understand what's next for you in terms of the steps that you're going to take to move this thing forward. In terms of the key challenges that I think you face, well, being on time. That's critically important for you to be on time. I want you to make sure that you aim for clarity in your thinking, not perfection in your outcomes. All right? It's so more important that we understand what you're thinking and trying to communicate than it is that the video is a bit fuzzy or that, whatever the case is. Just make sure we can see your thinking. Remember again, if you look at the rubric that's on Blackboard, I'm assessing the process. All right? So make sure you understand the process that I'm assessing as it's written on Blackboard. Trust the process. Trust yourself. Prepare for your feedback. You may get feedback that says, nah, we don't see that's going to work. All right? If that's the case, then you need to work out how you're going to react to that. Why is it that they think it won't work? Have they tried it before and it didn't work? Is that going in a direction that doesn't suit their brand? What does the feedback look like for other people? All right? Who got good feedback? Who didn't get as good a feedback? All right? Be prepared to fail. All right? But be prepared to be challenged in that workshop, the third workshop, all right, in relation to your own thinking, okay? All right, listen, I'm really looking forward to seeing you all next Saturday. I think we're going to have some fun, and hopefully when you walk out of there, you'll be primed and ready to not only move forward, but importantly, you'll be ready to start thinking through personal learning statement number 2, all right, which is going to be related to the nature of your entrepreneurial thinking. All right, so I want you to start becoming very aware of the different thought processes that you've been engaged in over the last few weeks, and I also want you to become very aware of how you react to the information that you're getting during the week in terms of feedback and the way that we talk about that feedback on the weekend. All right, enjoy the rest of the week, guys.